Gentlemen, thank you for joining us on the show today. We have a special guest, and I'm interested to talk to this particular sister because she wrote a book called How to X Your Ex. That's very, very interesting to me. I want to hear the preface of that. And she also wrote singlewomanchronicles.com. It's a website that this sister has. So her name is Ashleigh. And Ashleigh, I don't want to screw up your last name. Could you tell me your last name?
It's Guice.
Guice. Okay. Now, can you hear Miss Ashleigh Guice when she spoke to you? I just want to make sure. All right. So Miss Ashleigh Guice, she wrote a book out of Extra X and Single Woman Chronicles. Now, Ashleigh, before we even get into any of that, okay, could you
Mhm.
tell the audience just a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how you got to the point where you start writing books?
Okay, my name is Ashleigh Guice. I am originally from Jackson, Mississippi, but I've been in Atlanta for about 15 years. So people would say I'm from Atlanta, but I don't claim it. So still repping for Jackson, Mississippi. How I got into writing, life happened. So in the year of 2014, I was just miserable. Like I've always been a creative person, always been into just having some type of creative outlet. Like in high school it was dance, in college it was modeling and dance, and then once I graduated college, everyone's like, you need to be an adult, you need to get a real job, quote unquote. So I put down everything creative and I just started working corporate. Well, I became super miserable. Like I graduated college, what, 2012, and I was just super miserable and I was using all types of negative outlets in order to cope. So then in 2014, I probably got dumped like 3 times. I know that sounds crazy. It's like 1 year, but I got dumped like so many times. But I was able to get over people pretty quickly. So the last breakup, I just wrote down everything I was doing in order to get over that person. And the book was born, How to Extra X. But before I went, before releasing the book, I knew I needed some type of platform. So I started blogging. So at first I just was playing around with it to see if people would respond, and a lot of people were responding. And in January of 2015, I decided to invest money and get my website, singlewomanchronicles.com. So the rest is history.
All right. So you stated about 3 times that you were miserable. What was the source of the misery?
The source of the misery for me is like, if you're a creative person and you're not creating, you get depressed because you have no way to get out what's inside of you. So when you're creative, you have a lot of ideas at one time. Like you're constantly thinking of stuff, you're constantly having bursts of just creativity. And if you have no way to get that out to the world, you become miserable. And that's why a lot of people are so depressed working 9 to 5s when they know they want to be doing something else and they should be doing something else, but they have no idea where to start because they're comfortable, they're afraid. Society is telling them, no, you have to work this job because if you don't work this job and you do this creative thing, you're not going to make money doing it. So just keep doing what you're doing because our brains are trained to live the American dream, quote unquote. But that's really not how it should be. You should all, like, we, especially creative people, we should all have an outlet. We should all have a hobby to do or make a career out of doing what we love. And when you're not doing what you love, you become miserable.
So in the area of your dreams, I mean, how did your father play a role in backing you up on that?
No, actually, I do not know who my father is. Um, Growing up, I never had a father in my life. At the age of 27, the person I thought, I'm 29 now. At the age of 27, the person I thought was my dad my whole life, my mom revealed to me that he wasn't. And so I don't know who my dad is. So
So,
I can,
so let me ask you a question because a lot of people can relate to that, especially in our community. How did
Mhm.
you feel being lied to about the man you thought it was your father?
I was really broken because the person who I thought was my dad wasn't present either. So I was kind of wondering, like, Mom, why would you lie about him being my dad? Because he left at age 4. So this whole, my entire life, I felt that the man who was my father, who I thought was my father, rejected me because of the way he left. It was a very negative it was very negative how he left. It was, and it put an effect on me. So I had very bad dating experiences because of it. So it's like I'm constantly looking for love and men, the typical. And then eventually one day I started healing myself, and then through that healing, that's when my mom revealed it to me. But I was very broken. I For like 2 weeks, I just didn't know what was going on. I became depressed for a little minute, and eventually I started dealing with it. And I still to this day, it happened like 2 years ago, but still to this day, I'm still struggling with it, but I'm much better than I was when I found out.
Correct. So now, since you didn't have, the proper, let's say, the father to talk to you about men, and your experience with the first man that should have been in your life, or should have been your father, and the experience that you did have with that is rejection. You say you're broken, you were
Mhm.
depressed, and even 2 years ago you were lied to. Did that
Mhm.
change your relationship with your mother?
It didn't, because my mom and I, a lot of my negative dating experiences weren't just because of a missing father. It was also because of an emotionally unavailable mother. So a lot of the times we blame solely our fathers, but when our mothers don't step up to the plate and fill those gaps and those voids by giving us that emotional thing that we need, then it hurts us as well. So my mom, she was really, really, really hard on me because she wanted me to be a better person than she was growing up. And I understood it, but in high school and elementary school and middle school, not hearing I'm pretty. My mom never told me I'm pretty. I was pretty. She never told me she loved me. She never hugged me. She never gave me affection. And that hurt. So of course, when I'm out here dating, as soon as a guy say you're pretty, then I'm stuck. As soon as a guy says I love you, then I'm like, oh, okay, well, he loves me for real. I believe it. You know what I mean? So for so long, I was lost, and I had to really learn how to date by trial and error. So
Mm-hmm.
it just really like hurt me. But eventually I knew I had to mend the relationship with my mom because for so long we were butting heads. So I just began to pray for the situation. And then eventually God revealed to me some things about me that were making our relationship bad. And then eventually my mother came around and started doing all those things I wanted her to do back in the day. She started saying, I love you. She started complimenting me. She started being proud of me and hugging me and being affectionate. So our relationship got better. So eventually, when she told me about the dad situation, I didn't want it to go back into that dark place. So I forgave her because I had to see the situation from another perspective. It wasn't that my mom was trying to lie to me, it was really her. She was hurt. Like she wanted to know who my dad was, but she did. You know what I mean? So from the person who she was versus the person that's my mother, I had to see her from that person versus that, like being my mom. So then I was able to say, you know what, I'm not mad at you because I know you didn't do this to intentionally hurt me. You did it because you thought you were protecting me, and deep down, you really were protecting yourself. So I didn't want it to break up the relationship that we had.
Well, Ashley, for what I'm hearing, and you're admitting that she did a lot of this to protect herself. As a parent, I'm a parent, I have children, and I know from experience not to lie to children because I've had that, happen to me before, like with my mom, certain things about my dad, and when I found out the truth, it caused a problem between me and my mother because I have a thing about don't lie to me. Like I
Right,
don't care what it is, tell me the truth. I don't care how bad it is, just don't lie to my face and have me thinking one thing and have me mad at my dad or mad about this situation and I find out you were lying, right? And
right,
and at times in our community, sometimes the dads are doing certain things, but sometimes the moms, they hurt the kids too. Cause lying hurts children. And I know I'm not saying you should hate your mother. No, you don't supposed to have hate for your parents, nothing like that. You should forgive them, okay? But what I'm saying at the same time, that did have an effect on you because you see, you didn't have the proper. Your mom didn't tell you, "Hey, Ashley, you're a beautiful, little girl. You always protect yourself. Always this, always that. And moms usually tell their daughters all the time they're pretty, right?
right,
Especially they think they look like them. And then the dad, I have daughters, and I make sure to encourage them because I don't want them to go out there looking for some, Pookie and Ray Ray to tell them, that they look good. You get what I'm saying? Or them getting pregnant by a dude like that. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
so it's very, very important. Now you say you was dumped. In the beginning, you said you were dumped 3 times. Why you think you were dumped 3 times?
Well, I'll touch on the mom and then I'll go into that.
Okay,
But
yeah.
it's like the mom situation, yeah, I totally get it. But at some point I had to let it go in order for our relationship to be better because I did some things and said some things that were hurtful and she did as well. So I knew in order for us to move on and be in a better place, I literally had to forgive and forget those moments. And I knew that she really did try as hard as she could because I feel like all kids, we have this expectation or this this perfect world, a perfect parent in our brains. And when our parents don't meet those expectations, we get upset and we become scarred and we don't understand the actions behind it because the way my mom grew up was crazy. Like she was the youngest of 13 kids. She lived in Mississippi. They grew up super poor. Like it was at one point they didn't have plumbing in their house at all. Like they had to go to an outhouse to use the restroom. My
Mm-hmm.
granddad had 2 families and he treated my grandmother like the side chick when she was the wife. And my mom watched my grandmother be beaten like her entire life until she was old enough to defend her. So it's like understanding the background of my mom and then seeing why she did a lot of what she did. It's like I'm not trying to make excuses for her, but it's kind of like you have to that it just helped me forgive her a little bit quicker because I wanted that relationship. I wanted her to feel like she could come to me and we can build something because it's never too late. It's never too late to mend those relationships. Even at, I think we started getting better around like 24, 25. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I like I said, I'm all for healing relationships, and time does heal all wounds. And for you to get a backstory, or maybe why your mom wasn't certain ways with you, that probably did help you. But not as I don't know if do you have children or not?
I don't.
Okay, well, whenever you have children, I'm pretty sure you're gonna be the best mom, but you're gonna do the complete opposite.
Right.
Uh,
Oh, for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure, for sure. So now, outside the mom, you said you were dumped 3 times, and now we know that history. Do you think the history of the dad and the mom affected those relationships?
Absolutely. My issue, my biggest dating issue was a few things. Thing number one was I never thought I was worthy. I've always had self-worth issues up until recently. And when you date thinking you're not worthy, you have a distorted view of yourself, meaning that the way you see you isn't how people see you. So for a long time, I thought all these dudes who like me only like me for a certain reason and they never thought I'd be good enough to be a girlfriend when actuality they did. But I would self-sabotage myself because I would think they didn't. And so for so long, I would be in these relationships or dating these people. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, he's not going to stay because he doesn't see me as worthy. He's probably only with me because I'm cute and I have a big butt and he probably just wants to have sex, but he's not going to stay. That's in my mind. When in their minds, they're actually giving me a fair chance. But because of what I thought about myself, I was pushing them away. So that was one of the reasons. The second reason was I had strong abandonment issues. So when you have abandonment issues, you do one of two things. You either one cling to everyone that comes into your life really, really hard because you feel like if I cling hard enough, they can't leave me. Or two, you put a wall up and you don't let anyone in. And I know all this because I have a master's in psychology. That's why I can go deep into these situations. But I did the first thing. I clung hard. So any dude that I would meet, I would give my everything really, really early. So I moved way too fast. I invested way too soon. So to a lot of people, they're like, what are you doing? Slow down. I'm not going to marry you tomorrow. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm clinging way too hard. So that scares a lot of men because they're like, whoa, what is she doing? Why is she doing this? You know what I mean? So those were the two reasons. So in those relationships, a lot of the times these men were coming into my life and they're like, I really want to get to know you, but I'm desperate dating. So I'm like forcing myself into these situations. And I'm like, no, I know you said that we should take our time to get to know each other. And this could be like the first month. I'm like, but wait, when are we going to be in a relationship? When are we going to talk about like going and doing holidays together? When we gonna take pictures together? When you gonna post me on your IG? It's like that kind of stuff. Like I'm forcing it. And then also I used to date down because of the abandonment issues. So I would date people who weren't good enough for me. And I'm not saying that from a cocky level. I'll give you an example. I have a master's in psychology. I've been on my own since I graduated college at 22. You know, I have my own car, I got my own place, got a savings account, got good credit, like all of this stuff. I will find myself dating high school dropouts, people with criminal background, people who don't want to go to college, people who work, you know, a job, but they really have no idea what they want their futures to be. I was doing that because I was desperate. I felt like I wasn't good enough, and whoever I really wanted was going to leave me, so I may as well date these people. So all of those reasons was why I was dumped 3 times in 1 year. So yeah.
Okay, so you know a lot of things that you described are issues that's happening in the black community, and just as a man, you know we'll see some women and you say, "Wow, that woman's attractive," and then you talk to her and say, "Yeah, I've been single X amount of time," and you're like, "How is she single?" You know, and you be trying as a guy freaking out, and then as you get to know the woman, all of a sudden what you describing starts coming out, like self-worth issues, self-sabotage, abandonment issues, getting clingy way too quick, you know, which a
Mhm.
lot of men don't like that. And then you talk about dating down, and I'll get to that. But do you feel that the self-worth and self-sabotage, and I think those two are very, very prevalent in
Mhm.
relationships in the black community, do you think those are probably some of the most ones that a lot of women deal with, that come from, you know, maybe homes, you know, similar to yours? Because a lot of people in the comments say they relate to you.
Absolutely. And the issue is no one wants to talk about it. No one
Right.
wants to talk about it. Like if you see how society pushes the notion that, you know, there's something wrong with the woman. You know what I mean? And it's not necessarily there's something wrong with you. There's just a situation that happened that made you feel this way. And instead of actually healing that wound, you're putting a band-aid on it. It's like instead of giving it time, taking time with yourself, being single, being intentionally single to say, you know what, let me go to some therapy, let me pray, let me really get to the bottom of what's really going on. Society tells you, no, you have to be in a relationship. No, you have to date right now. No, you have to be married by 30. And that's not true. If you're constantly being depleted of your self-worth because you're rejected all these times because men are leaving you, men are telling you you're not worthy, men are telling you, men who you really want aren't trying to be with you, or you know the women who are in this whole share a guy culture, they're feeling like, oh okay, I can't get anyone, so I'll take the married guy. If you're in these cycles and you never pull back and say, you know what, let me build my self-worth, your self-worth is depleted. It's like a bank account. If you're constantly taking money out and you're not putting money back in, you're going to be worthless. To you, you're worthless. So you're going to date. Guess what? Like you're worthless. So I think that's why a lot of women in society are settling. They're settling into being number two. They're settling into saying, you know what? I'm never going to get a good man. So I'm just going to date like a man. I'm going to date all these guys because that's what the guys are doing. So I'm going to do it too. But if that's really not what you want and your goal is marriage, why would you go backwards? Why would you why would you do that to yourself? Why would you deplete your self-worth even more by doing these things? So I feel like it's patterns, and the patterns begin because no one's talking about it. No one's telling women these are your symptoms and this is your diagnosis. You know what I mean? So yes, for sure, that's one of the biggest reasons.
Correct. And you know, like I said, I have, like I said, my first book gonna be coming here shortly, but my second book is gonna be all about what we're talking about now, because I feel a lot of women don't really know how to pick men. They really don't. And they have, and it's no offense to what I'm about to say to you. There's a lot of women telling women how to get a man, but not listen to men and what they say, what they want in women. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And a lot of these things you're talking about, a lot of men discuss this all the time. Maybe not in front of women, but they discuss that all the time. And you know, sometimes men come into certain situations and they feel like, man, now I'm being a therapist. And some men just not even good with that, because some of them got issues too. You know, the
Oh,
same issues that you're talking about, men deal with that same thing about the father not being there at times. Sometimes with men, mom may take it out on the son because he looked like the dad and sound like the dad, and that happens as well, and that affects the men in relationships. Because I saw on your website that you had a article about men with mommy issues,
Uh-huh.
and you remember writing that article?
Absolutely. My ex all the way.
Ah, that's funny. But that is a real topic. Some men do deal with that, and unfortunately, it do manifest itself in how they pick women, or how they complain on women 24/7, or how they don't like women that's too accomplished because they feel threatened by that a lot of
Absolutely.
times, and so you have some men that feel like women shouldn't be accomplished, and then on the flip side, I heard what you said earlier about you dating down, and I
Hmm.
feel that's also an issue when you mention dating down. Now, when you talk about dating down, because it seems like when women get to a certain level,
Hmm.
they feel that I got to have a guy at that level or above. But as men, we're still kind of primitive in a lot of ways. We may mature. Like, if, for instance, I say a man that's getting with a woman and she's past her 30s, there ain't no way she should be living in her mama house
Right.
and all that. No, she need to have her own place, her own career, or even if it's a business, whatever, doing it for herself, right? But we as men would still get a woman, if we making 100,000, we still pick a woman that's making 30 or 40. If we think
Right.
she looks nice or she's a good person. So we don't view this dating down. So why do women do that? They get successful. Like, I don't want to date down. I want to, I hear that a lot. So why is that?
I'll answer that, but before I like to comment on what you were touching on. So before, when you said a lot of women don't listen to men, I think a lot of women do listen to men, but they pick and choose what they want to hear. And so that's the issue with a lot of women, because it's like men are telling you, hey, you need to listen, but we like this. They may pick and choose what they want to do. And I think it's because they're, one, unable to self assess. They don't want to deal with what's wrong with them. They need to learn how to embrace their flaws. But a lot of women don't want to do that. And then, two, a lot of people don't want to change. No one wants to change to get to where they want to be. You know what I mean? But on my blog, one of my biggest focuses is to help prep women in their single season so they understand that this is an intentional season. This is a season of your life where single is a choice. It's not a circumstance. This you need to read Single Woman Chronicles, because you need to learn the signs that men are giving out to you that they aren't the one. You shouldn't be dating them. This is the person you need to run from. And two, this is the stuff you need to be working on while you're single, because you feeling like, oh my God, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm a great catch. I need a man. When really you don't need a man, because you need to be single. Like, you have all of these areas in your life that need to be fixed, and you're trying to carry that over into a relationship, and you wondering why I can get a man but why I can't keep a man. And that's what you need to be doing. You need to be intentional with your single season, because if you don't, you will ruin your season when whoever comes along and who wants to marry you. So touch that. Second, why do women feel like they have to date a man on their level? A lot of women, when they get to that point, um, they feel like they're better than the man, in a sense, because they're kind of like feeling that pride. They're like, oh, a man can't do this for me, a man can't do that for me because he's not here. Those kinds of women, I feel like they are actually hiding behind an insecurity, right? Because they feel like if they're at this level, they really don't have to open up as much, because they've accomplished a certain level of shallow things. So if I'm here, you can't call me out on nothing. You can't tell me what my flaws are, because I'm better than you. At this point, you can't tell me nothing unless you at my level, or you got something, better than me. And I disagree with those women, because even for me, I know I'm going to be successful. I'm very driven, like more driven than a lot of people. But when I say dating down, I don't mean from a financial point of view.
Mm-hmm.
I mean from a emotional, mental capacity point of view. Like, if you can't bring me peace or help me grow, I don't need to be with you. If you are a successful teacher and you won Teacher of the Year and you got youth programs all over the city, but all you make is $50,000 a year and I'm a millionaire, baby, come home. I don't care. Like, because you can still help me grow. You can still push me to be a better me. And you're working in your passion. That's what you were called to do. So I'm still going to be there for you. I don't think you need to be on my level financially. But mentally, you need to be where I am. And emotionally, you need to be where I am, because I can't carry you emotionally. I can't carry you mentally. And financially, if you're making $50,000 a year, as long as you can take care of yourself outside of me, then we're good. But I think a lot of women get that mindset because, one, they become bitter because it is a lot of men with mommy issues who don't want to deal with a woman like that. So they continue to build those walls up, and they're like, oh, well, if I'm going to have to date a dude, he's probably, and they have that crazy mindset as well. You know how a lot of women say, oh, all men cheat, or all men do this and all men do that. They have this crazy mindset or this belief where all men are supposed to be, or what all men are. So with that belief, coupled with how they think that a man should take care of them, they take all of those things and they're like, oh, well, if I'm going to date, I may as well date a guy who has money, because he's going to cheat anyway. He's not going to meet all my needs anyway. So I might as well just take one who's going to take care of me. So I know I just threw a lot of stuff out, but that's what I think about women like that.
Yeah, and my thing is, when women say, well, all men cheat, I say, well, obviously you picking a certain kind of man that cheats. Because not all men cheat. Like, I've always been the type of person, and I've lived this my whole life. I'm not a good liar, so I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to just tell you the truth. And cheating has to do with a lot of lying. So forget that. You know what I'm saying? Up front, and I've always been the type of person, I'd rather keep one woman. That's it. I don't believe in that juggling women. There's a lot of guys out there that believe in the same thing. Once a man say, okay, I want to settle down, I'm ready for a family. Men do get to that point. They're like, man, I'm sick of these hoes. That's exactly what they say. I'm sick of these hoes. They ain't about nothing. I just want one woman I can chill with. We can go to the movies, watch Netflix. We can, do whatever. Go walk in a park. You ain't got to do no expensive dating. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And men do look for that at certain points in their life. Now, I would say men that's after 30, some may be in their 20s, but I feel personally, I've always said this, I think men are at their best in their 30s, because usually they're usually more mature. They have their career 9 times out of 10 if they was an accomplished kind of brother, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of good guys out there. I know them. There's a lot of great ones doing very, very well, actually.
I agree. I definitely never go along with that mentality. I've heard men say it. To me, when men say that, I already think in my head, you're a manipulator. You want me to believe that because you want me to settle for a man who cheats. And a lot of women agree with that because of their environment and what they see. And they're too afraid to wait for a man who's not going to cheat, because they'd rather just be with somebody, anybody, just to say I'm not alone. So that's really what the type of society we living in. And then think about the messages that are being pushed. If you watch all of the reality shows, every time a dude cheats on the reality shows, the woman stays. She accepts the cheating. She's there. So that's what's being pushed in our brains. And then side chicks became a thing. That became a fad. It became a fad to be a side chick. So people are writing songs about it. People are promoting it. So it's like, when you push a side chick culture, then of course women and people are going to believe that all people cheat. I'm not believing it, because Lord knows if you send me somebody who cheat, and I'm going to shoot you the deuces real quick. And then I'm going to read my book, How to Extra X, again, just to get over it. But it's like, that's what's being pushed. But I do know there are a lot of good guys. I have male friends who are great and who are going to be great husbands. But because all we see in the media are men who cheat, athletes who have side babies, then that's why society feels like all people cheat and all men cheat.
You're talking about this side chick culture. It lets you know just how society is just so low in the dumps morally. Because I remember at one point in time, if a guy gonna fool with a side chick, it's gonna be late at night. Nobody gonna see her. Side chicks would be thoroughly embarrassed. I'll call all kind of prostitutes, whores, and everything else. And now side chicks get television shows, and side chicks get billboards now, and they're respected. I'm like, what happened to that?
What happened? They becoming wives? Like, I did an interview. I was doing this series where I was going into barbershops and I was interviewing men in the barbershops because men are very comfortable in barbershops talking about, the issues that women go through and what they go through with women. And I legit had a guy tell me that he married his side chick because she was better than his main chick. And he really was pushing this notion that side chicks are better than main chicks. And I'm just like, what type of society do we live in? That video got like 13,000 views because I guess people really agree with this nonsense. Like, what is happening? I want to ask you, like, why do you think that is becoming like such a thing? Do you think it's because men just want to make it easier? Like, what is that?
Well, maybe you haven't watched my show, but I'm going to just let you in on how I am a little bit. I'll just tell it how it is.
Please.
The issue at one point in time in society, if you want to look at women, if you want to look at their most precious, jewel that they have, and you know what that is, at one point in time that was worth a lot of money. Let's say like if it was a stock, it was a high stock like Google in the thousands, right? And now in this day, it's a time. That precious jewel is now a penny stock because when you have too much of something and you give it away too easily, it has no worth. So
Absolutely.
you have women these days that literally give that up for compliments, give it up for a swipe on Tinder. Now you have the side chicks that's come. It's a man's paradise right now. At one point in time, men used to have to fight to try to get that from a woman. Now it ain't nothing to get that from a woman. So when you have you know how it is, inflation, it's not worth anything anymore. So now women really have to stand out with men now because of that. And it's other women who has created that environment. Also, this new third wave feminism has created that as well. That you can do whatever you want. You can whore yourself out, slut
Oh
walk,
my
whatever.
God, speak on it.
You get what I'm saying? And that has hurt women. That's why
Yeah.
these side chicks are in your face now because of that third wave feminism. It benefits men that's single, and that's why y'all having a harder time getting commitment because of third wave feminism and this whoredom culture.
And it's so real. That's why we got a slut walk. And
Exactly.
for me, I don't agree with feminism. I'm not a feminist because I feel like their aim isn't the true, it's not what we need. I feel like we need to be focused on equal pay, equal positions, equality in the workplace, like that kind of thing. We don't need to be focused on how we can show our boobs and be respected, because you can preach that all day, but a man is going to feel how he feel regardless. You can't force a man to think how we think. You can't. They going to think how they think. If you want to be a wife one day, then either you're going to have to find you some joker who agrees with it, who's probably going to be wanting you to do a polygamous relationship because that's the culture now, or you're going to have to figure out, okay, is this really what self-worth looks like? Is this what self-love looks like? Is showing my body what I really want to do, or is this me conforming to society? Like, what is this? Like, what is this really? What's the meaning behind it? Like, what is this really going to get me at the end of the day besides your kids being able to see your nude pictures when you have them? I don't understand.
Right.
I really don't agree with it at all. And for me, I'm celibate. And one of the biggest reasons I became celibate was because sex wasn't doing anything for me but hurting me. Because there was no celibacy for me means I'm just going to wait to have sex until someone says they're going to spend the rest of their life with me. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But you know
Nothing
what's
at all.
crazy? I get more backlash from women than I do men. Like, seriously, people think, oh, you can't find a man with that. Do you know how many dudes really want to rock with me and be with me just because of that? Because they see,
Yeah,
like,
you know why?
my
Because
style.
that's attractive to a man to say, wait a minute, not every guy, Pookie and Ray Ray and whoever else running all through you like they're running through this chick on Instagram, right?
Exactly.
So, you have a woman that's actually keeping herself, a woman that's maybe dressing modest. That's extremely attractive to real men. Men that's just whores, they're not going to talk to you.
Basically. That's why, and I've had, of course I've had those dudes who are like, oh no, I'm good. And I'm like, yeah, thank you for making this process easier for me,
Right.
because I want that honesty. I don't want the dude who gonna finesse me until he's done with me. I want the dude who's gonna be straight up brutally honest with me, like, nah, I'm not with that. But
Mm-hmm.
good love and joy. I'm straight with that type of situation. But I just really want females to understand that we're not doing anything by conforming to what men are telling us to conform to by saying, oh, I'm going to be a slut, I'm going to date like a man. Because the majority of it is a few who really do want to live that lifestyle, but the majority of us want marriage. We want one person. So instead of waiting for one person, improving yourself in your single season, you're deciding to just go frolic and be like a man in dating and just go smash everybody else. How is that really benefiting you? Is that really what you want to do? And I always tell women when they ask me, like, okay, so how am I supposed to be single correctly? Like, how am I supposed to date? What's your end goal? If your end goal is marriage, I don't think you should be out here sleeping with multiple people, going around and doing, what you think men do. No, figure yourself out, heal your wounds, focus on your focus, and then whoever is supposed to be in your life will come to you. Trust me, they will. And they're going to be quality dudes who are attractive and who have good jobs and who you don't have to raise because they see something in you that's greater than the physical, the shallowness that most people are chasing these days because they're on Instagram and they're in the strip clubs and they're doing all this stuff.
Right. When men settle down, like I said, they will appreciate this to know that like you not trying to be all on them for the first day. You're like, oh, okay, that makes you stand out right there.
Right.
If you can cook, that makes you stand out times two. You can cook because I don't care what men how they develop, they still love a meal. Period. I don't care.
Serious.
Seriously, yes, men
Real.
love a meal. I don't let these women tell you he can cook for himself. He don't need you then. I'm old school with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All of the old school men we had in our community, even some of the wives, right? The men did what they supposed to do. The women and made sure, hey, Big Mama, whatever, she did some good cooking. I'm pretty sure you seen that back in the day. You say Mississippi, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
You know exactly about that Southern culture.
Oh
You
yeah.
you know about that. But like I said, I see women agreeing with you about being celibate. Like I said, it's fine. Or I always said that if you're gonna have sex or whatever, at least do it in the confines of a relationship, a monogamous relationship, and you know this person, not just any old guy you met at the club. And it's the same thing with men. You should lay down with any old woman. You don't know what these women got. These women,
Right.
boy, I mean, herpes and everything else, chlamydia. You don't know what these women have.
Oh, and the AIDS rate is increasing. Like,
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I
like
said, I'm married. Y'all can have all that. But
it's
now
yeah.
you said I want to get to your book though before we get to wrapping up here. How to keep an ex and ex? Why did you write that?
I wrote it because over the years, so many people always confided in me when they were trying to get over someone, and they just couldn't understand why they couldn't let it go. Like, why can't I let it go? Why can't I just stop talking to them and stop texting them? So I just wrote down the steps that I took to get over people because I was seemingly healing quicker than them. And it was a lot of the times that they were in relationships for 2, 3, 4 years when they really weren't in the relationships for that long, but it was like on and off because they were so comfortable. So I just decided to write this book. And here's a picture if you want to go get it. It's on Amazon. So yeah, that's why I wrote it.
Yeah, we also have that in the thumbnail as well. So we'll get that link from you, and we'll put that somewhere people can get a hold to it and read it. Make sure you get the book. We definitely need you to get the book and visit the website as well. Like I say, her website is really interesting. They're very interesting. So, Ashleigh, let's ask you a question. I say on our journey here, are we getting close to walking down the aisle, jumping the broom?
That only God knows. So right now I'm intentionally single, meaning like I'm not dating at all. This is the first time I've actually been in this place where I don't have no booze that text me at all. Like I don't have nobody I can go hang out with. Like I literally have nobody. And the reason for that is I'm still just working on healing some of those dark places that are being revealed to me. And then I'm super focused on my career. And I know me, like when I'm in a relationship, I'm very invested. So I'll lose some focus if I'm in a relationship. So if I'm right now 110% focused on the blog and the book, it's like I'll lose focus and I'll give, okay, I can take 20% focus here and I can just be 90% focused. So I'm just taking my all and putting it into this, and I'm extremely busy. So yeah, but if God sends me my Boaz, then I'm ready. But for now, I'm not searching for it.
Yeah, so 'cause some guys in the comments section are interested in you, so that's why I was asking that question for them.
That's funny. But
Yeah,
yeah.
so hey, it is what it is. People meet online all the time, so it happens every single day. So Ashleigh, we definitely want to thank you for joining us on the show today. I enjoyed the conversation. It opened up a lot of topics that we love to talk about, but we don't, at least on this channel at times, because we focus so much on some heavy topics. But this channel is for everybody to talk about whatever going on in the community, and relationships and family is a big issue for us,
Right.
because we have so many people who got children, no, like I said, parents, and I'm all about trying to get parents together, trying to raise the kids, because I know you don't want to be by yourself raising a child, correct?
Oh no.
Exactly.
Me-
And now whenever you have children, you gonna have a big family.
No.
Oh, come on, Ashley. Now, see, I
No.
got a problem with that. You need to,
No.
you got to at least have 4 kids. At least
I'm
have
praying
four.
for two the first time, and that'll be it. Like, can I do one and done? Like,
Oh, come on. You got to build that tribe up.
I ain't on no
You got to
try.
look. If you got a good man, you got a good man. He taking care of you. He love you all the way down to your dirty draws. He love you that much. Okay.
Four? Oh
Four,
Lord.
four, four is a good number.
No,
With
it's
two
not.
boys, 2 girls. You know.
Two is good enough.
Oh, come on,
And we
man.
pushing it. I'm 29. I have no like. I'm not married. Like, I'm already pushing it on this age thing.
Now,
So
Big Mama had 13.
she did. She did. I don't really. Yeah. That was back in the day. No.
Kid, like I say, kids are a wonderful thing. They really are, and it's they. I always tell people the teenage stage is always a stressful stage.
Yeah.
I can tell you that when they're small, all the way up to the little kids, oh, they're awesome. But oh boy, teenagers, yeah, I tell you about it. Just drinking some coffee because you're gonna need it.
Just continue to pray for them.
Yeah, you're gonna do a lot of that. Pray so you don't go to jail. That's what it is.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, I feel like the only way I would end up with 4 kids is if he came in with kids and I had two already. Then I have two, and then we'll be good. We'll be
Okay. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that before we wrap up. So you have no children. Do you would take on a guy with kids?
preferably not. My ex scorned me because he was just really dishonest. But if I pray about it and God's like it's a go, then I wouldn't mind. It just has to be a mature situation, meaning there's no baby mama drama.
Right.
You're really taking care of your kids, and I'm not talking about you paying child support. I'm talking you at all the games, you picking them up every weekend, you keeping them on the summer, like you're really in their life. They don't just see you every now and then. Because I hate a deadbeat dad, especially because my dad was never in my life. So,
Right.
like, I'm talking like a real father, like a man who I'm looking like I really respect you because you're a real dad. So it just has to be a mature situation. It has to be clear cut rules and guidelines. I need it to be run like an organization. So yes, I wouldn't mind if it's that. My max would be two, but yeah, but yeah.
Okay. All right. Just curious about that because I always told people that if you don't have children, then you
Mhm.
do have a right to say I don't want somebody with kids. But like I say, I get what you're saying. Cause see, it is a difference with men with kids versus women with kids. Because usually men with kids don't have the kids 24/7, and I'm talking about they're a good dad. They're always picking them up. They pay their child support. They do whatever they're supposed to do, right? But
Right,
when it's a woman with kids, usually she has her children.
right,
So a man coming into that situation and don't have no kids at all,
right.
he's coming to raise kids.
Basically.
Yeah.
But for a long time, I felt like, oh no. You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm not doing it. No, because I don't have no kids, and I was intentional, so you should have been intentional. But I think lately, my eyes have been opening up more because I have friends around me who are willing to do it, and then God has just been putting on my spirit like kids aren't bad. Like, it's not their fault. It's not their fault that they were brought into this situation, and they are a blessing. So if they're good kids and he's doing what he has to do to make the situation easier, and if I have a relation, it would be even better if I had a relationship with the female, because then I'll know like there is no drama. I just don't want like the extra stuff, because that's what I dealt with in the past. I just don't want a repeat of that. As long as I don't have a repeat of that and it's a great situation, then I'm fine.
Well, that is the perfect world, and I would love for you to
Right.
have that, to get along with the woman. And they got some women out there that will get along with you. But then, like I said, there are some that are, oh boy, you know what I'm saying? But when it comes to the man, a lot of times good dads are more mature than I say
Right.
a single man with no kids. So I guess that could be, a little plus in that area. But like I said, I hope if you do get someone, it works out very, very well, because like I said, it can go either way with the women. Either way,
Well, my perfect world is he ain't got no kids. That's
That
my
too.
perfect
It,
world.
it, it,
My
it could be
perfect
that
world
too.
is
But like you say, at least you're open. You open your options up. So
right.
Ashley, like I said, thank you for joining us on the show today. I greatly appreciate it. It was a great conversation with you. Like I said, guys, make sure you check out her book, How to X Your Ex. My firm believer of that is don't go back to no ex. Going back to an ex is like a dog going back to his vomit.
Basically.
And Single Woman Chronicles, check that out. If you have any emails you like to send Ashley, I saw contact info on Single Woman Chronicles, correct, Ashley?
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, you can I'll check her out there. So thank you guys for listening, and see you next.